want to talk a little bit about evaluation and why we would do it in the program. So one of the things we want to talk about is, why do we do evaluation? One of the pieces is, of course, we're creating evidence-based practice, which is what funders are interested in today. But it's also because families have a right to attend programs that will work best for them, and we can't tell them with any assurances that the program is the right program for them if we aren't evaluating along the way and actually researching the impacts. So both program evaluation and research are important components of any emerging evidence-based program, which is what Mothers in Mind is. We want to be able to tell families that we know it will work for them and why and what are the specific pieces and components. And we need to be confident about what we're providing to them in order to hope for their participation as well. In order to do that, we need constant feedback, not just from participants, but also from facilitators. So from time to time, you may receive a survey that asks you about your practices and what you wish you knew more about and any of the feedback you'd like to give us about the program. So that's one of the pieces that we like to do. When we think about evaluation, we often traditionally have left it to the end of all training sessions. But now we talk about it first. First of all, because it's often considered less fun and no one's quite so interested in it, and yet this is the area that you will have the most questions about when it comes down to your first consultation session. Clinical skills are less new to you. You feel like you know what you're doing in that regard, but when it comes to actually presenting the measures to moms, we got a lot of clinicians who then wonder and ask for some guidance around that. So, what do most people want to know when they're first trying to implement the measures with Mothers in Mind? First, how do I ask a mom or introduce the concept of program evaluation or research and evaluation to moms in the program? So we always say, start from the beginning, always let moms know from the first meeting that we're constantly working on making the program better so that they can be certain that they're receiving good quality service. And that we can't do it unless they tell us how they're experiencing the service, and we encourage them to give feedback throughout the whole process and that their experiences matter. We always let them know what's coming and what it looks like. So this is why it's really important that you're familiar with all the measures before you just give them a package. And I'm going to go through them so that you can think about this is also how we might present it to a family. So why do we do what we do? We go back to the goals of Mothers in Mind. And if you'll have already seen in a previous video that the goals of Mothers in Mind are to provide a trauma-informed parenting program while having moms connect with other mothers, strengthen mothers' self-care, self-compassion, and stress management skills, and to support mother-child relationships through enhancing sensitivity and responsiveness, and also strengthening those feelings of self-efficacy and parenting effectiveness. So in order to do that, the first thing we want to know is who are the moms that are coming to the program. And that's why we have the demographics form. We want to know who they are and what they've experienced. Are we really providing the best service? And is this program reaching the moms that's intended to reach? It also enables us to be more attuned and responsive. So for example, in the first early days of this program, we were seeing on the demographic form huge numbers. The majority of mothers coming to the program were struggling with making ends meet. And so from that, we added food support, snacks, meals, transportation costs in recognition of the demographic that we were seeing. You might be able to see similar things. You may see language needs or other issues that are coming up in your particular population that you can then tweak your group to be more sensitive and responsive to them. The next thing we want to know are the pieces that we're looking at in terms of facilitating change. So we want to know what they think about their parenting. And for that, we provide the TOPSY, which is the tools to measure parenting self-efficacy. And it has a number of scales: emotion and affection, play and enjoyment, self-acceptance, learning, empathy and understanding, and control and discipline. The next measure that we want to look at is we want to know what they know about child development. So we give them the Raising a Baby scale, which asks them a number of questions about how they understand their toddler's social and emotional needs. We do this because research indicates that improving the parent's perception of their child's needs and their ability to support their child in a developmentally appropriate way actually leads to improvements in child mental health. We also want to know about social systems and social support systems because the research indicates that social support is a key factor in managing adversity of any kind and of good emotional health. So we use the social support scale to ask about family and friends and community support because we want to know how isolated this family is before and after group. We also want to know about their current emotional well-being and whether or not we can improve it. We ask 4 very basic questions around depression and anxiety because these are key risk factors in maternal mental health that directly impact on child outcomes. And we don't ask them because Mothers in Mind addresses depression and anxiety. We ask them because if a mom doesn't get better, but she's scoring really high on depression scores, it may be because we're not addressing a root cause that is actually interfering in her ability to manage or enjoy parenting. And so it's a way for us to recognize what is most needed for this family. We also want to know how these caregivers act towards themselves when things are hard. In another video, you will have seen about the importance of self-compassion. We know that self-compassion is directly linked to coping with traumatic stress and improvements in resiliency. We use the self-compassion scale to get at things such as self-kindness, self-judgment, and common humanity, pieces of things that will help us understand about mom's coping skills. If moms have skills in self-compassion, then you're going to have compassion for others, yourself as well as your child. And you'll see that the research indicates that higher scores in self-compassion is directly related to lowered risk for PTSD and other issues around coping with traumatic experiences. We also want to know how caregivers think about their children. So we use the PCOTAS, which stands for the Parental Cognitions and Conduct Towards the Infant Scale. This measure has 2 key constructs that we're interested in. One is perceived parental impact. Does a mom feel like she can impact on her child's day-to-day experiences? And we're also looking for parental hostile reactive behaviors. So we want to increase parental impact. That's one of the things we're looking at. We want to decrease any parental hostile reactive behaviors. Finally, we want to know how they have experienced us and the program itself. So we offer a general client satisfaction questionnaire, which has questions such as how did they like it and would they recommend it to a friend? And it gives them opportunities for direct feedback to us. And we have absolutely used this feedback over the past decade to we've changed the order of the groups, we've changed the way in which sometimes content is presented directly based on client and facilitator feedback. So these forms are very important. We use the trauma-informed practice scale, and this is really for us to know. We say that we're offering a trauma-informed group, but we want to know whether or not caregivers and participants are actually experiencing us as trauma-informed. So we ask specifics about how they feel they were treated by staff. Did they feel they had choices? Were they listened to and respected, for example? Did they feel understood by staff? A final little note, which is very important, is you need to familiarize yourself with the evaluation protocol. It's available on the microsite, particularly how you're going to assign separate research identities to protect the identity of clients. You need to know that you're not to read the measures because you're actually not trained to interpret them in any way. And they're to tell us more about the group than it is about the mums themselves. So sometimes mums will say, can you tell me how I'm doing? And this is an opportunity for you to say, I don't look at this information. This is a confidential process. We send it off to the evaluators of the program, and your information's aggregated so that it's always safe. And we do that not just so you don't have to worry about me looking at your measures, but also so that you don't have to worry if maybe in the future a partner wants to see how you did on these tests, or your child protection worker, or someone else that you don't want to see it. We have no ability to provide that information because it's sent off site and it's not identified with you at all. So that's the next point, is that you cannot keep measures in files. You may make copies to keep them in a locked drawer that the manager of the program keeps when you're sending it off to the site to be entered for evaluation purposes, but they can't be linked to specific clients, and that's to protect the safety of the clients in the program, which is paramount. So that's everything you need to know to start with the evaluation process. I encourage you right now to, at the end of this video, there'll be a link that will take you to some questions about the microsite and the evaluation process. So, thank you.